Yeah, I've been higher. I've been learning Spanish with Pat. I think since about April, Pat, isn't it? Probably seems longer for you, but no, some for me. I'm 56 years old. I know I don't look it, but some I never thought I would be interested in learning a language. And actually, it was your dad while we were working together, rushing back one day to say, "Oh, I've got a French lesson," and I was like, "Oh yeah, what are you doing?" He said, "Over Zoom with my son Pat," and I thought, "Oh, do you know what? I wouldn't mind having a go at learning a language." When I was at school, I tried learning French, and as Pat says many times, the way we were taught at school really wasn't very supportive. And if you didn't quite get it, you just got moved further and further to the back. Hence, I was right at the back of the class and then out of the class. So yeah, never thought I'd come back at this age and learn the language, and I found it really quite difficult. I'm sure probably we all did to start with, but Pat's style and his patience and the concept of the way he teaches and coaches is just perfect. Really, it's just having fun with it and just having random conversations rather than trying to learn something parrot fashion and regurgitating it. So no, I'm really enjoying it. And you sort of get to a point where you sort of feel like you're struggling, and all of a sudden you're starting to, put a few words, a few sentences together, and you're like, "Oh wow, yeah, I'm actually a Spanish speaker now." So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's been great. It's been a really enjoyable, enlightening journey so far. So long may it continue. And a bit like Tony, really, I think I'm a long way off, but once I master Spanish, I might look at another language as well, go for a second one. So yeah, good to see you all anyway. Happy smiling faces. Thanks, Pat.
Cheers for sharing that, Steve. Yeah, do you know what? It's so cool for me to hear like a lot of you guys saying like, yeah, once I get a bit better at this language, I'm going to learn another because that's exactly how I found it. When I kind of worked out how to learn languages properly, it does get addictive, for sure, for sure. It's really it's a cool thing. And you touched on like the personal development aspect of it there as well, Steve. I remember we've talked in our sessions or after the sessions about how you've taken what you've learned with me while I've been coaching you and teaching you Spanish, like to other areas of your life.
Just letting it go, just letting
Yeah.
it go, and just it doesn't matter, and stop beating yourself up over stuff. Yeah, yeah, and certainly in other areas of your everyday life, just having fun with it, and it doesn't really matter. The more relaxed you are, the better you remember, don't you? The minute you're getting stressed up and highly strung, a bit like golf. I think we've said that as an analogy before. If you've ever tried to play golf, you'll do a couple of good shots. So a bit like Spanish, you'll do a couple of words you remember, and then in golf you'll miss a shot, or your drive will be good, but your approach play or your putting went bad, and then it really affects your game. You end up throwing the golf club in the pond. And Spanish is the same. A language is the same. You sort of go on a bit of a roll, and then I was before, and then you'd get something. You think, well, I should remember that, and then you start getting angry with yourself, and then immediately you struggle, and you just falter, and the flow's gone. So yeah, definitely.
Do you remember what it was like at school learning languages? Casting minds back.
Yeah, it's a long time ago, but yeah, I echo what Megan and Amy said there. Even when I did French, it was very repetitious. It was very learn it sort of parrot fashion without doing any speaking or talking really. So it wasn't sinking in. Yeah, it's interesting. I listened to a Lightspeed Spanish podcast, and if anyone else has listened to it, and the guy on there was saying exactly the same thing. He did his degree in Spanish. He said it didn't teach him to speak Spanish; it taught him how to pass a degree. And he said afterwards, if he had a advice to anybody was to get a tutor. He didn't name you, Pat, but I'm sure we could put your name forward. But yeah, he said, because it's just teaching you to pass an exam. It's not teaching you how to have a conversation and using everyday language. That really, that's what you need, isn't it? To get by when you go on holiday or if you're working out there. So but yeah, mine was similar, just sort of repetition and, well, this is boring. I'm not really listening. Um, yeah, similar experience really.
How has your view of making mistakes changed since you started learning a language with laid back languages and then where you're at now? Like, how has your relationship with mistakes changed at all? How do you view them now? And how did you view them before, kind of thing? Yeah, yeah, go on, Steve.
Yeah, just massive. I think I mentioned it earlier. So, and you know what I was like when I started. Yeah, the trajectory has just been like a rocket for me over a certain period of, once you could start putting some words together and just getting that, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. And I had a big thing, didn't I, about, I don't know why, but when I have a conversation, it has to be truthful. If that makes sense. Not you sit there telling lies, but you're sort of having a conversation, and I can't remember the exact example, but one day I was going, well, yeah, but that's not true. I was about going running. So we talk about sport a bit, don't we? Because I like sport and running. I'm into my running. And I hadn't been running that morning. And I said, I don't know what to talk about. And then he said, well, say you've been, I think it came on about say you've been running. I thought, but I haven't been running. But it was like, well, it doesn't really matter, does it? So I don't know if anyone else has experienced that, but I find it strange now because it doesn't really bother me now. I just talk about anything because it's about practicing the language, isn't it? And having fun with it and all that comes with that. But yeah, at first I used to struggle with that. Oh well, that's not true. I haven't been out today. I haven't been in the shops today. Well, it doesn't really matter, does it? You're just having those chats. But yeah, certainly the making mistakes now. It rarely. I don't let it bother me at all. Just through your coaching, Pat. Really, that and I've always been a bit inclined that way in other areas of my life. I do try and set quite high standards, and if I don't get it right, it's that sort of perfectionism and expect to get it right straight away. And like Will said, none of us are perfect, and some of the other you guys were saying, it it doesn't matter, does it? And they're not bothered. They actually love it. I can only echo what Tony was saying. I went to Gran Canaria and I've been to Spain again later in the year. And when you actually speak to the waitress or the waiter, or the bus driver, and you speak Spanish, their face lights up. That feeling you get when you say something in Spanish and they just beam, basically, because nobody else is really making that effort. So, but yeah, definitely the don't make the mistake. Don't beat yourself. I don't beat myself up over getting stuff wrong now. Yeah.